Very soon, we are also raiding the office of the public prosecutor. How comes, as it were now, it's only people from a certain community whose cases are being prosecuted? It begs a lot of questions.
And very soon, we don't want to name names here, but by Tuesday, when the parliament opens, we'll name names that we think they are behind the people to be prosecuted and those not to be prosecuted, because that is already in public domain and it is being applied selectively, and it's a concern of so many people and especially many members of parliament. But we want to say that when we are in the floor of the house.
Minor Commander, they are talking about a list behind the so-called list of shame, that there are people who decide who is to be called corrupt or not. Honorable Dennis Oweru, the Greater South Member of Parliament, and Jeanette Mohammed Sunais, Member of Parliament, thank you both for making time for the big question. You were at that function where a minor commander made those pronouncements. Yeah. Is there such a list? Are you aware of such a list? People behind the so-called list of corruption? Like they're, you know, everybody's a puppet. They control everything.
Well, first of all, I would like to say from the onset that I am very, very unhappy about what happened on that day, because I don't think, and I'm not privy to the list, I want to say, to me, the list is alien as far as I'm concerned. And probably my colleague has the list. I'm also waiting for it. And if it's there, then I think it will be very good, and I'm sure it will be a step forward to fighting corruption. Right. Because we'll be able to know exactly then who is sabotaging Kenya.
Did he share this with you when you were there? Did he share this with you at one point?
Well, in fact, today I was very early in Parliament. I was waiting anxiously because I wanted to also have get to know who is in the list. And unfortunately, we waited for Maina the whole morning. Unfortunately, I think he was in Nyandarua, and tomorrow we'll be waiting if he has a list, and we will be very much waiting because we also want to know, and we want to fight corruption in this country.
Okay, I want to get the views of Honorable Jeanette Mohammed on the same.
Thank you, Sen. I think this is just part of the circus that's going on in this country on how to deal with corruption. I think everybody wants to come up with his own list. Initially, we had the list that was brought to Parliament by the President. Now we have minor commander's list. I think another person will bring his own list. So I think we're going to have 10 lists or 15, everybody bringing his. But I think we got wrong from the word go in this war against corruption. We had, I don't think the way we did it at the beginning was the right way, where the President had to come to Parliament and give a list of names of people that EACC is investigating. The President should have just said that there are people who are being investigated and he wants to get answers from EACC as soon as possible in 60 days. Because that helps EACC to give them time to do thorough investigations. You remember, EACC was only given 60 days to deal with 175 people.
Yeah.
So they had to do cut and paste. Remove that from there, paste it there, paste it there.
But they've asked for more time, they're still investigating.
Yeah, but even the number of files that they have forwarded so far to the DPP looks like they don't hold any water. So I think we should not have that idea of, you know, the PR of bringing a list to the public. I think that was not the right way to go, as my opinion.
Do you have confidence in what the EACC is doing and the Director of Public Prosecution? You've heard from some MPs. Now they're saying, like Kanini Kega, they're saying they want to remove the Director of Public Prosecution. Do you have confidence in what they're doing?
First of all, I want to congratulate the President for having come out very firmly and offered to lead from the front on fight against corruption. And I think on the issue of political will to fight corruption is there. The question we should be asking going forward now as a country is the executive has done his part. Now the independent offices, that is now the EACC, the DPP, And downstream, the judiciary, are they playing their part?
Are they playing their part?
On the fight against corruption? And then the other question we need also to ask ourselves is, what is the institutional capacity on these institutions that we are mandating? And we are expecting a lot of output from this institution. What kind of capacity is there to be able to carry out a thorough,
so our EACC,
fair,
right,
prompt investigation on some of these cases? Because to me, I'm seeing like there is the inadequacy, capacity inadequacy in these institutions. And when I look at the shortage job that we have seen coming out from the EACC, like you find Junet allegation from one of the constituents writing to the EACC, and then they just put his name in the list. And if you look at most of those cases are just allegations, and some of them are ongoing. The issue we should be asking ourselves as a country, now that the executive has demonstrated will, the political will, is how much capacity have we given EACC? And remember, however much we empower, like I have seen and I've been forwarding this discussion in the committee, we have been giving a lot of money to the judiciary. But for a judge to get a case, it has to be investigated somewhere. It has to be forwarded from the EACC to DPP and all the way to judiciary.
So you think they're doing the shoddy job? That's what you're saying.
So my concern is, do they have the capacity to do what we expect of them as a country?
Are they? Do you think they are doing the right job?
If you go by 175 cases that they were supposed to handle in 60 days, I doubt the capacity. And so I think as a country we are also expecting too much when we have not even put in enough capacity on the side of EACC.
All right.
Number two.
I want to take you back a little. You're talking about capacity. They've talked about 60 days.
Yeah.
They've asked for more time.
Yeah.
They're still continuing the investigations.
Yeah.
You've just told me they're doing a shoddy job. And I'm asking you, do you think these two institutions are doing a shoddy job?
The moment we got the 175 names, the expectation from Kenyans was quite high. And that's why you're finding a lot of disappointment.
So they haven't met the expectations?
Yeah, they haven't at all.
You see, Hussein, I told you that from the word go, we got it wrong. I think, that time when the list was brought to Parliament, at that time, other than fighting corruption, I think my colleague, where he belongs, Jubilee, had other intentions. That time, the rating of Jubilee was all-time low. So they needed to bring such kind of list or a bank to, to improve and say, to improve their ratings and say, at least we are doing something. But you see, I agree, there might be the political will. That I'm not here to judge. But we need to leave EACC to do their job thoroughly. But when you take over the functions of EACC, you bring a list to Parliament, and then you tell EACC within 60 days you must bring a report. So, and most of those cases, as he's saying, were just mere allegations. People saying that Governor so-and-so has stolen this much, MP has stolen. So I think, to finish it, I think we need to take the fight against corruption to another level. Not these suckers of politics where every MP wants to say that so-and-so is corrupt, so-and-so is not doing his job. It's not the responsibility of minor commander to tell us which institution is functioning and which is not functioning. It's for Kenyans to see and for Parliament to judge as an institution where those institutions report.
But I think, Hussein, it will be very unfortunate. And I think Junet is trying to run away from our responsibility as an institution, as a Parliament. We still have an oversight. We still have an oversight.
Collectively.
Collective responsibility. Even you, Junet, over other institutions. You still have the oversight responsibility, and that's why we were elected on EACC. So I think he's very much in order to oversight EACC. And as a Kenyan, you also have to say you are not satisfied, and I think that's why we have...
said, just to interrupt, that oversight aspect does not include bringing a list to Parliament, where you say, I'm going to bring a list of people who are corrupt in Kenya. That is not my business. My business is to oversight whether EACC is functioning properly, they're executing their mandate properly. But I'm seeing a scenario where people are interfering with the work of EACC. People want to get into EACC business.
Right. It appears a bit contradictory. Yesterday, you were on record. You were not supporting these MPs, and we've seen some of them talking here, talking about their people influencing how the whole fight of corruption is being handled. You're also not happy with people saying that the DPP is not doing a good job, isn't it? But here you are again saying the whole thing is a game of musical chairs.
Me, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to do, or what I said yesterday, is to insulate these institutions from politics. I don't want a situation where politicians want to run the office of the DPP and they want to run the office of the EACC. I want those institutions to perform their duties and report to Parliament, and Parliament has a committee that is mandated to assess their performance. So what I was fighting yesterday is the issue of members of Parliament coming up and saying the DPP is not doing his work, the DPP is corrupt, the DPP should be removed from office on baseless allegations like the previous list.
On cases that are ongoing.
Yes.
And the same case, I mean, holistically, you're saying is just...
No,
it's just a game.
Yeah, the way the war started, the war on corruption, the way it was started, about the list that was brought to Parliament, I feel that was not the right way. That I stand by it. It should have been left to EACC to do their work and report to Parliament. Why should you politicize a list of corruption, which in the first place you're not sure whether these are allegations or whether these are true? So at that point is when I'm saying that we went wrong. But now that the EACC has done certain job, let them complete their job and let DPP do his work also. Because I am foreseeing a scenario where politicians want to dictate the terms on who to be charged in court or not to be charged. Okay. That I will not accept.
I think we need to separate the two issues. The issue of submitting a list for the part of the president or the executive to Parliament and the performance of EACC and DPP, those are completely two separate issues. We are talking about an institution where we have been investing money since 2009 and we haven't gotten much from it. And that's maybe what we should be discussing. What are the bottlenecks that are making the two institutions not perform to the expectation of Kenyans?
You see,
because you can't tell me we haven't seen any single prosecution successfully taken through to the end up to now. We haven't seen any. We're still talking about Anglo-leasing. We haven't had any.
Honorable Oweru, there's a move by some MPs, you're aware, to have the deputy, I keep saying this, director of public prosecutions removed. They're not satisfied with the job of DPP. They're not satisfied with EACC. Are you satisfied with their jobs?
In fact, I want to state clearly that I am very, very disappointed with the investigation being done by EACC, because we have not, even the investigations that they are forwarding to the DPP, they are all shoddy. They cannot even stand.
So you don't think the whole process is being conducted?
Yeah. The whole investigation is lack of capacity in the EACC. And if you look at like allegation that, and I'm sure you know that some of the allegations that now like they are forwarding are 2007. They have been waiting for the president to present a list for them to prosecute something of 2007.
Okay, why would you
seven? We are 2015. A crime that was committed 2007. Where have they been? They had to wait for the president to come and bring a list.
Okay, I'll ask you the same question. I'll ask you the same question. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Why the hit now?
Yeah.
No, where have you been? I mean, this thing started, if it was 2007, let's even forget about 2007. The list was released by the president. Parliamentarians supported it. Most of this country supported it. There was a standing ovation in the National Assembly. Why wasn't there? Why didn't you say there was a problem then? Why a problem now?
No, we were expecting that in 60 days, maybe they had done a good job. But when you find every file going to DPP, it can't stand a trial. And I mean, and they gave it to the president to present. So that is why we have an issue with. And you find the capacity to fully and fairly investigate is lacking.
Honorable Junaid, okay.
Just respond. Let me respond. Hussein, you see, the fight against corruption must be done within the law and the constitution.
Okay.
You can't just play to the gallery and say so and so is corrupt, so and so is corrupt, and then you expect that person to be charged. That is what happened. You know, these were just mere allegations, 175 names thrown left, right, and center. Now is when the chicken are coming home to roost.
But you have a problem with when chicken are coming home to roost. You have a problem. Yes. You're saying
I'm saying
was
now,
a game.
from the word go, that function of investigating and taking files to the DPP should have been left to EACC. It should not have been brought to Parliament as part of the presidential speech.
But Hussein, remember, in 5 years, in 3 years, the buck stops at the presidency. People will say President Uhuru Kenyatta is not fighting corruption.
Which
you see, at the end of the day, whether it was a political move or whether it was, you know, just to show Kenyans there's political will, it was left at EACC, isn't it? No, your coalition, for instance, and your party, ODM, from the onset said the whole thing is a game of musical chairs.
Correct.
We have people now, including him, coming and saying they're not satisfied with what EACC has been doing. How come now you're supporting what EACC is doing?
Why? Because from the word go, we knew those are just musical chairs. We have been actually it is my position at that time that has been proved right now. We said this is not the way to go and fight corruption. Leave EACC to do their work and let them take to court the people they have enough evidence against. What happened? Jubilee brought a whole list of 175 people. Now he's dissatisfied because he's seeing that that list is crumbling. It's only 1 or 2 people who are being taken to court. So our position at that time is getting right.
But now you're changing it.
Number 2, no, I'm not changing. Now I want those institutions to be left to do their work as I was thinking by then. Even that time, I wanted those institutions left. You know, the fight against corruption, constitutionally, is mandated with EACC. Am I right?
Yeah.
The work of taking people to court is mandated with the DPP, an independent constitution.
Correct.
Even at that time, these cases were still with EACC. We did not need it to be brought to Parliament for us to know. We wanted EACC to give a report to Parliament end of the year and say, we have taken so-and-so to court, we have charged so-and-so, we have charged so-and-so. But now when it has been politicized, and we expected something big, but we're only seeing now...
Can you also have been accused of politicizing it?
No.
When you're talking about this being a game of musical chairs.
We are only defending the Constitution.
Okay, you're saying...
And you see, you must also understand that some of these institutions have been operational for a long time, and they had never even tried, even come up, and even your coalition, they had never even come up with a list, even to be bold enough to come up with a list of 175.
Honorable Oweru, as we wind up, do you support...
You want me to come with a list?
No, your party leader never even produced a list. Even, at least we are still.
That is the job of some institutions, independent institutions in this country. Do you support? It has come from where you are that day, but you're saying Maina Kamada did not tell you about all this. Do you then support the removal of the Director of Public Prosecutions?
I am going to wait for the petition. I'm going to look at the merit and the demerit, and if I'm compelled enough.
But as it is, are you satisfied with it?
Compelled enough.
Yeah.
Then I can do it. But for now, I still insist what we need to look at and sort out immediately as Kenyans. And I don't want us to try and look at this issue as a partisan issue. Are you
satisfied then with his performance? You say
no, it's below average.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much. And because the Director of Public Prosecution is not here, I'll just quote him what he has said about this. He said he will not bow to political pressure. I can quote him. I will not bow to political pressure, intimidation, or schemes. I will not charge if I'm not satisfied that the evidence presented to me sustains a criminal charge. However, he continues to say, I will charge anybody if there is credible and sustainable evidence, irrespective of the social or political stature of the individual concerned. That is Director of Public Prosecution. He goes on to say, if anybody thinks they will intimidate me by threats of petition or peddling of spurious allegations or claims against me, they will be in for a rude shock.
I have to comment.
Okay, just comment.
You know, Hussein, I think we have been through this route even before. You know, even, for example, we have been taken round and round on Konza, for example. We haven't had or we haven't seen anybody being taken to court up to now. So those are the issues that we are saying. We are getting impatient.
We have a clip from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, if my director is ready with that. Yes, we're ready with that. Their response, that is. No,
that Jubilee is planning to bring in a petition to remove Tobiko. The reason is the man has shown himself to be independent. The man has shown himself that he's not going to be pushed about by the same people that he is supposed to prosecute.
That was the mix-up. That is TJ Kajran talking about. He was actually with Junaid yesterday, supporting the Director of Public Prosecutions. Do we have that clip from Michael Bubea? Not yet. We'll look at it. If I can look at some messages here on 22422. Menja in Nairobi says, weird decisions are being reached. Prosecution of MD Kevevapi was meant to let the Cabinet Secretary off the hook. This shows DPP and EACC got instructions from higher up. They're dancing to the tunes of higher people. Okay, Wangeshi says the public prosecutor is doing his job and should be allowed to do it without interference. The Jubilee MPs are wrong. You mean some Jubilee MPs, it's not all of them. And Mr. Tobiko has literally transformed the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Under the circumstances, he has really tried. And finally here we have, somebody says, how on earth should 5 big fish be charged with misusing public coffers and only 1 fish is charged? Surely even a blind person can see and put 2 and 2 together and get the answer. The clip by the EACC Deputy CEO, he was saying, it's good to just say because we've talked about EACC and DPP, he was saying if they do something, they are blamed. If they don't do something, they are blamed. So either way, they are blamed. And all this is being politicized. So very briefly, 10 seconds for both of you. What should be the way forward, briefly?
Hussein, I think we have to re-engineer the way we are dealing with the war against graft. As you see this country today, if you look at 5 years back, now the corruption has become an agenda for this country. Every day the news is corruption in the papers, in the dailies, in the TVs. So that tells you corruption is very high at the moment compared to last 5 years.
Yeah.
So instead of politicizing and members of parliament saying, I have a list on this and I have a list on that, you know, taking cue from what happened the presidential speech that he brought a list. Now everybody wants to bring a list. We should leave these institutions to do their work, and they should be held accountable by Parliament.
Okay.
There's a committee of Parliament they report to.
Okay, briefly, 10 seconds only.
For me, it's very important that these institutions, which are funded by the public of Kenya, must be held to account. Number 2, politicians should keep party politics, party interest, tribal interest out of fight against corruption.
Okay, thank you very much. Janice Owiru, MP, Dagoretti South, and Junaid Mohammed, MP, Suna East. Thank you for making time for the big question. You're back after this break.